Welcome to the HerStory Podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating guest. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hello, my name is Dr. Sheri Lake. I am living in Western Pennsylvania. I live in a small town called Indiana, and it's about an hour north of Pittsburgh in the western side of Pennsylvania in the United States. So it's so good to be here today. My story starts at the beginning. As someone who has been in the field of education for over 25 years, I am acutely aware that I am one of the kids that should have never made it. I am one of 6 children. I am the oldest girl, so I, from a very early age, took on this caretaker role for my other siblings. I was born into poverty, addiction, abuse, and it very much was not an environment that was conducive to growing up in a safe way or feeling safe in my own body. Over time, as I started school, I quickly learned that I was really smart. So I used that. I used my intellect, I used my ability to study and to learn and to excel academically to gain attention. And that is really what led to my people-pleasing tendencies. I really kind of ignored my own soul and my own heart. But I was a high achiever. I got straight A's in school. I remember in junior high school, I was in 7th grade, and one of the things I really wanted to accomplish was to get perfect attendance. That was one of the awards at the awards ceremony. And I can't believe I'm even telling this story. I've never told it before. I went to school sick. I went to school every single day, and I got that perfect attendance award at the end of 7th grade. And today I think, oh my gosh, it means nothing, but here I am talking about it. So that was something that I was so proud of. I was perfect. I just wanted to be perfect all the time. So that ability to study and that drive to be the best at something was really what got me through undergraduate and graduate studies. So I got my bachelor's degree in the mid-90s. I got my master's a couple of years later, and I became a speech therapist, and I loved it. I loved being a speech therapist. It was very precise and very meticulous. The record keeping is very methodical. The data collection, all of those things really spoke to my need to have this order to my life. And then I decided that I wanted to have kids. And at the time I thought this was the early 2000s. So 2000 on the nose was the year I got married. I believed because of social conditioning, I was born and raised Catholic. So there was a lot of guilt associated with spirituality and religion, and you had to do things a very specific way. So I was raised to believe that I had to be married to have kids. And I didn't necessarily even want to be married. I just knew I wanted to have kids. I wanted to be a mom. So I got married. And I had my daughter 2 years later, and I had a son 2 years after that. And they're beautiful, wonderful children. My son just moved out. So I'm diving into the world of single empty nester, which is just a gift to see him thriving out on his own. But I knew that I wanted a divorce when he was young. So this was about 3 to 4 years into my marriage. I just wanted out, but I stayed because I was raised that divorce wasn't an option either. So not only did you have to get married, but you had to stay married even if you didn't want to be. So I stayed for 2 decades with this person. And then I found out that he was having a year-long affair, and it shattered my world. But it also gave me a way out. I really wanted out, and I knew this would be my excuse to just leave and get out. So the marriage ended, and what followed was this reckoning, this period of reckoning where I had to rebuild my life, but I had no idea how. I had been told for years that I couldn't make it on my own. I couldn't do this. I was given a list of things I couldn't do. So I tried to prove myself. I got divorced 2 weeks after I started my doctoral program, and I stayed in. So I was going through this tremendous life change and also studying to be a researcher and get my doctorate in education. That was extremely difficult. I was working full-time at a university. I had a 90-minute commute, which was insane to even think I did it for that long. So I was driving an hour and a half each way to work, studying for my doctorate, and then going through a very significant life change and trying to rebuild my family in the process. And then stack on top of that, that was right at the time of the global pandemic. So we were navigating lockdowns and being isolated. So in all, there was just this series of events that kind of just piled up. I was extremely tired, burnt out. I didn't really know how to live without pushing through. So I pushed. I dug into that high achiever, perfectionist mindset that I had served me, I thought, so well in the past that I just kept going. And then one day on my way home from work, everything stopped. It went completely dark. I was hit head on by a teenage driver, and it was an accident that I should not have walked away from. The light you see or that you hear about near-death experiences, that was there, but it was covered by this film of just like a timeline of my life. It was just kind of like a life review moment. And during that life review, I heard clear as day, "Get out." It was this male voice. It just echoed from the backseat of my car, even though there was no one in the car with me. I would later come to believe that that was my guardian angel saving my life and getting me out of that car. So over the course of the next 3 years, I went through a lot of rehabilitation and recovery from the accident and my injuries. But I developed this wonderful ability to speak with the angels, and now I am an angel communicator, among other things. I also work with women to teach self-leadership and help them really focus in on their identity without all the roles we carry as women. So who are you as a woman without thinking about being a mom, a wife, a partner, all of these roles that we kind of take on as women. So I'm really excited to be here and talking to you all today about my journey.
Wow, Sheri, you have been on a bit of a roller coaster of a journey by the sound of it.
Yes.
My goodness. But it's wonderful to have you on the call today and have you share your story. Now, your near-death experience seems to be the pivotal turning point. How has it changed your life?
It changed my life completely. I wanted to leave my life behind. I didn't want to keep living the old way of this high achiever pushing through, but I didn't know how to do it. So my near-death experience left me no choice. Here I was. I heard this voice. I knew it was my angel. I was left with serious injuries. I had to take a year off of work in order to recover. And it forced me to be with myself. It forced me to rest. It forced me to get quiet, and it forced me to get honest. And what a beautiful gift. What a beautiful gift, because my life has completely changed. I am happy. I know who I am. I stand tall in my power. And now I get to help other women do the same.
So it sounds like before your awakening, your whole identity revolved around achievement. You were constantly pushing yourself to excel, correct?
Correct. Yes, I thought the
So,
more I achieved, the more accolades I collected, the better I was as a person. And
um,
I have completely debunked that as my truth.
so what were the first signs that burnout was impacting your body and your spirit?
The first signs, it was kind of, they snuck up on me. I had a lot of anxiety. I had these gut feelings that I was ignoring, like, oh, say no to this. You're already booked for this time. You're over. I was just over scheduling everything, and
Yes.
I had this deep knowing, but I ignored it. I was getting headaches. I had physical symptoms, and I had started using alcohol to kind of numb that intuition because I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it. So, yeah, my coping mechanisms were not very healthy at that time.
Now, I know when you filled out my form, you said I almost died so that other women don't have to. What does that mean to you?
Oh, that is profound. I believe that my accident and my near death experience woke me up in a way that I can communicate this message from
Mm.
myself and also communicate messages from women's spirit teams, which are always so loving and so supportive. And I think we forget how loved and held we are by the universe. And I just want to acknowledge that to everyone listening and watching. You are loved beyond measure. So even if you don't feel like it, you are. So
Wow.
I died so other women don't have to, really speaks to why I started my business. I started this business to give back. So when I had my near death experience, I could have recovered and gone back to that old life. But
Wow.
I knew that wasn't the point of it. The purpose
Mm.
of it was to use my awakening to help awaken others.
So, what was the most difficult part of rebuilding your life?
um, you know, this that is such a good question. The most difficult part of rebuilding my life was relearning everything. It was becoming vulnerable and kind of like knocking me off of my pedestal. So I had held myself up here. Like I was Dr. Lake. I was this like smart researcher, this professor. Um, Yet after my accident, I couldn't grocery shop. I couldn't make a list. I couldn't read. I couldn't walk without holding on to something. My balance was off. I relied on my kids to help me get dressed and help me take care of the house. I was completely vulnerable and I needed that. I really did. So the hardest part of my recovery was getting over myself and accepting help from others.
So, how can high achieving women start to recognize their own burnout patterns?
I think it's important for all women, especially knowing if you are a high achiever, to spend some time and listen. I think our bodies, for me at least, my body was sending signals, and the women that I work with, their bodies are sending them signals, but we ignore it. And I think, at least in the United States, we go to the doctor for something very physical, and I've been told, oh, watch your stress. Okay, what does that mean? We don't have guidance from professionals, so we need to trust ourselves for our inner guidance. And I would just encourage women, if there's one person you should trust, it is yourself. So I talk a lot about embodiment and feeling in your body. So I think it's important to recognize the signs of burnout by really noticing your sensations. Do you have a pit in your stomach? Is your throat, do you have a lump in your throat? Do you have burning sensations? Do you have a headache? Pay attention to what your body is telling you. And one thing I did during my recovery is I studied myself, just like I studied during my coursework. I wrote down my symptoms. I have 6 journals full of notes from my rehabilitation. I studied myself as if my life depended on it, because it did. So I just encourage women to spend some quiet time, listen to your bodies, and trust what it is telling you. It is not going to lie to you.
So, how do you help women reconnect with their intuition?
It depends on the women. What I like to blend science, mindset, and spirituality. And for women, some might be more spiritual, so that's kind of where we start. Some might be more into, I need proof, I need scientific evidence, so we start there. Some are really in this negative mindset where they're just kind of beating themselves up and talking to themselves in such a cruel way, so we start there. It just depends on the woman, but it's a blend of evidence-based interventions and techniques, mindset work, and then bringing in the spiritual component. I do a lot of channeled angel readings for women, and they absolutely love them. I think it's, for a lot of women, it has been a very long time since they received unconditional love, and it makes a tremendous difference.
And that mindset piece is absolutely crucial.
Yes.
They say that we say things to ourselves that we would never say to your best friend. We psychologically beat ourselves up just with that inner chatter, that voice, that we put ourselves down. And trying to stop that monkey brain going is not that easy sometimes.
It is not very easy at all, especially when you are in a state of anxiety and a state of stress. It's very hard to calm down the brain. One thing that I encourage women to do is move. Shake your hands, get up, jump around a little bit, dance a little bit, take a little walk, and then come back and really take that thought and flip it into the opposite thought, or flip it into something that you would tell your best friend if they said, oh, I'm really feeling like XYZ. If you wouldn't want your friend to talk that way, like you said, please, let's flip how you're talking to yourself.
So why is it so hard for women to let go of being the strong one?
I will speak for myself. I think we have just been conditioned to be everything for everybody. And, I love social media because it connects people from around the globe, and that is wonderful. But we're seeing these 15-second highlights reels that are often so curated and so
perfect.
thank you. That we're comparing ourselves to a standard that doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
So we carry a lot of burdens to be a perfect mom, to be a perfect wife, to be a perfect sister, to be a perfect friend, be a perfect employee, be perfect in so many ways, and to be everything for everybody.
Yeah.
And in that process, we really lose ourselves. Yeah.
That is so true. So, what role has spirituality played in your healing and leadership?
Spirituality made a tremendous difference in many ways. So, whenever my injuries were, I had blunt force trauma to my chest and I had a head injury. 90% of people with my type of head injury fully recover. I was not one of them. And that was so incredibly hard. So I kind of went through traditional Western rehabilitation. I had physical therapy, vision therapy, and a lot of other things. And I still wasn't better.
Right.
And I just decided to take leadership and ownership of my own healing journey. So I discovered yoga. And it sounds so basic and so mundane, but yoga opened my eyes to the beautiful spirituality component of the chants and the mantras. And Sanskrit is just this beautiful language that I'm not going to say I understand, but it was very soothing to my brain. So by learning yoga, I was also introduced to breath work. And by it being introduced to breath work, I was also introduced to somatics. And at this time, clearing my mind and meditating allowed me to connect with my spirit team, my angels, my ancestors. Like I can see them, I can hear them. And it is the most wonderful thing. But it all started with this very basic online yoga class. So now I'm a yoga teacher, I'm a breathwork facilitator, and I'm a professional angel communicator. So it's made a tremendous difference. And I think having that, I call it my spirit squad, having my spirit squad really allowed me to change my mindset. So I wasn't stuck in this, well, I'm never going to recover. I am always going to be impaired in these specific ways. It really helped me get out of my own head and really see that there's something much bigger than me in play here. So it's changed everything. Yeah.
So, can you share a particular case study of a client where you witnessed transformation?
Yes, I worked with a woman who lost her son, and she was grieving, tremendous amount of grief. And she came to me wanting very specific messages about the nature of her son's death. And the angels, those messages don't come from me. They come from the divine. So the angels really saw her, felt her, and held her. And then over the course of working with her, she was also seeing a therapist. So in no way am I promoting myself as a therapist, because she was getting coaching, angel guidance, and then she was in grief counseling for that. But over the course of working with her, it was just I just hold such beautiful space for her. She found herself and her purpose. So now she helps moms who have lost children through tragic means, and she helps them kind of go through the grieving process. And I think she ended up creating a support group for women. So that was a huge transformation from her being so stuck in this state of grief and wanting justice for what happened to her child, to then using her situation to help others. And it's just a beautiful full circle moment. And that's, to me, what life is all about.
Yeah, that's so true. That's absolutely true. So, what would you say to a woman who looks successful but feels completely lost?
I would say, call me, come work with me. Because the feeling of being lost is an illusion. I mean, we feel like as we're going through it, that it's so real. Like we are trying to find where we're supposed to be. You are right where you are supposed to be.
Yes.
I just think we need to just sit and listen to our bodies, listen to our intuition, listen to that inner voice, the universe, whatever resonates with you.
Yes.
'Cause you're not lost. You're right where you should be. You just kind of, over the course of time, forgot how to listen to yourself and forgot how to trust yourself.
That's so true. And that's all that what you're talking about, reconnecting with yourself. That's really crucial. So
I think, like, if you think about, and I think about this a lot, I don't know why I do, but I think about this a lot. If you think about the number of ancestors, the thousands of ancestors who had to survive and make it to childbearing so that you could be here today. And then if you think about that perfect series of events that led to your own birth, it amazes me how miraculous each and every one of us are. The odds of us being here are so minuscule, yet here we are.
Yeah, that's so true. So true. Wow. Now, how do you define success now, post burnout?
Post burnout, I define success as listening to myself.
Yeah.
Did I rest when I needed to rest? Did I meditate when I needed to connect? So it's just kind of, success means I checked in, I listened to myself, and I followed the cues of my body. So every day I have spiritual rituals, I have mindset rituals, and I make sure I get out and I move my body. And that is how I define success.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, that physical movement piece, it's something that I learned when I was recovering from heart failure, that especially when you're going through an emotional experience, when you move physically, it gets you back into your body. Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
Now, I know that you are working on a book. What can we expect from your upcoming book?
I am so excited for my upcoming book. I am in the process of writing it now. It is about the journey that we talked about today. It's titled Get Out, The Voice That Saved Me. And it's a teaching memoir. So it doesn't just talk, I don't just talk about myself. I give mindset and movement somatic tools for the reader to help them on their journey. Because honestly, this sounds so cliche, but if I can transform my life, anybody can. I was so resistant. I fought it every step of the way. And when I learned to relax and just lean in, things became so much better. So my book is really about my near-death experience, my recovery, and the tools that really help me not just recover, but thrive. I never thought that happiness and this level of peace and belonging was accessible to me. And
Right.
the book is all about how these series of events led to the most amazing life.
Oh, I love it. Now, my last two questions are a bit of a thought experiment. In the first one, I'm going to teleport you back into the past to go and meet the younger you, this young woman who was on a go, 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 drive, 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 excelling, pushing herself to the limit. If you could go back and give her three nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you up until this point, what would those three nuggets of wisdom be?
I would tell her to listen to herself. I would tell her to learn how to say no. And I would tell her to embrace the freedom you have to eliminate people, places, and situations that do not expand your life. Those are the three nuggets of wisdom I would give her.
Absolutely beautiful. Last question. If I could teleport you into the future and we go and meet the 90-year-old you, and she's sitting in her rocking chair, surrounded by her children, her great grandchildren. Maybe she's on a dance floor with science and technology. You'll probably be dancing somewhere. If we could take you to go and meet this wise woman who has led you up until this point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her?
I would say we did it. We broke the ancestral patterns. We broke the toxic, submissive upbringing. I would be so celebrating and dancing on that floor with her because we did it. I think it has been the biggest gift to be living out my purpose and to know it. And that future version of myself is so proud. And she's someone that I see frequently in my meditations. And it is the most amazing homecoming every time. Every time we meet, we're just like best friends. And it's just like this idea like, oh my gosh, we did it. We did it.
I love it. I play the same game. I have a thing that I do when I go into my meditation and prayers, and I talk to her. If I'm stuck, I'm working on something, I sometimes go to sleep with the simple question, so what is the next step? And she is in us. She's real. But a lot of women look outside of themselves for answers and solutions. We forget to just tune in and go within to find the answers. So I play with the essence of who I am becoming. I ask her for guidance. I have conversations with her. And there are days when sometimes I've asked a question before I go to sleep and I'm in the shower the next morning, and it's like a light bulb moment. It just drops into my ether and I know exactly what I need to do to execute and take the next step. So thank you for tuning into your wise woman and playing with her and speaking with her. This
What a
is a gift.
beautiful gift. It is a beautiful gift. We always think, I think we often think about us being separate from other parts, but you already are her.
Yes.
So there's this beautiful connection that you already have. You just don't know it yet, but I promise if you slow down and listen, she's there.
That's just absolutely awesome. Sheri, thank you so much for coming online and sharing your story with our community today. I have your website at the bottom of the screen. You did say you have a free gift for our listeners. What is the free gift you're giving us?
I have two gifts. I have the first that we just talked about. I have a quiz called Your Future Self Has a Style, and you can meet your future self. And the beauty of that quiz is you are already her, just like we talked about. And I think that's a beautiful segue to that. The other gift that I am offering is a discounted somatic reset for women who are listening to this podcast. So, like I said, women love to receive messages of unconditional love from their angels. So I have a special offer for your listeners for those readings and those communication
Fantastic.
channeling messages. Yes.
Thank you so much, Sheri, and thank you to everybody who tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We're a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So tune in again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And Sheri, thanks again for the interview.
Thank you.
Bye for now, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story. Thank you so much, Sheri. That was a beautiful